teaching academy, and we're going to do a wiki. We thought, all of these good ideas, well, let's put them on our website. And when they started to talk about putting them on the website, I said, instead of us, and we don't have the time or the manpower to do it, instead of us getting the stuff from you and then putting them on our website, a wiki does exactly that. And then I figured out I'm not a good wiki. So I'm the person, right? I volunteered, and so I'm it. And so I said, you know, I've never seen a wiki meeting here on campus. I'll bet you there are people, and I got word, I mean, in some of our meetings, that people were using wikis advantageously and interestingly. And so I thought, let's have a wiki meeting. And where I'm headed in the long run, this is an information session to talk about who's doing what and who wants to do what, and trade names, and I'm going to be looking for some support. And in wikis, you need people to start the process, to be helping the thing get going. Next semester, for one of our teaching events, we've got several panel discussions that we'd like to have. Up till now, we've had primarily teaching demonstrations, but there are a lot of things that we need to know about that aren't just a demonstration out of a classroom. It seems to me, it felt to me, at least when I started this, that this is one of them. That we would next semester have a panel discussion, get a bigger group in here, talk about wikis and maybe social media or something else, whatever's interesting. So in this thing, when we're done, I'd like to get some idea. I want to capture an idea about what you are doing and what you plan to do and what you think we ought to do. And that's not the stuff you plan to do, that's you think somebody else ought to do. And then the panel discussion at the bottom, ideas for topics, the process, how to do it, who should participate, all that kind of thing. We had a really nice discussion a couple of weeks ago with the teaching award winners were the panel. We had 3 panel members, and there was a lot of good interchange. It was one of the best meetings I've been to. It was really good. So I think that we can make good use of panel discussions because they get really interactive. What happens on the ones where it's a one-way thing, we only have about 5 or 10 minutes at the end to get the interaction going. So, what I thought I'd do, take a roll of hands. Who has already created a wiki? Okay, a couple. I have a couple of really short videos. I thought some of the people that asked me what a wiki was and said they would be here to find out aren't here. But I thought to get this thing started, I have 2 things. We'll see if this works.
Wiki is a kind of software. It has some similarities to websites, but it's really the advantage of it is you can do a group project remotely. You can do it online. You can all add to a document. You can write it together, and you can make it very interactive. You can make it a lot of fun for the reader, a lot more interesting than a paper. I'm teaching a large Intro to Public Policy class here at UW Green Bay, and we're using Wiki to kind of add interest to their learning. They're still learning the same content, and they're doing the same kinds of projects, studying a public policy issue. But I have found that they get more interested, they get more enthusiastic, and a lot more learning takes place when they're using technology, such as a Wiki. I use it really here at UW Green Bay. I use it as a tool as opposed to kind of an end in itself to be an exciting new thing they're doing. It's rather a tool where they're using it to write a paper in a different format that they're interested in. There are a variety of reactions to them. Most of them are curious. Believe it or not, a lot of them don't really know how a wiki works or what it is, so most of them are learning it. And you have the whole range of reactions, some that are fearful of it, but most that are kind of intrigued by it and interested in the idea of doing something more interactive.
Well, overhead projectors are probably finding its way to the junkyard as this has come along. This is easy. Everybody in the school has access to it. We've gotten used to it. And it's fairly simple to use. I mean, the point and click directions, and it's idiot proof.
I do think that this generation they're natives to the digital world and the electronic world, and so we have an obligation to at least try to meet them halfway and to do some things in their orientation to learning is much more technology oriented. So I kind of feel like we have a responsibility to keep up with them in a way. And it's kind of funny in class, sometimes I'll have trouble with technology, and just today, you know, try refreshing the screen, or double click on this, or bottom right of your computer will get this for you. So they're just totally on top of it all.
Okay, there's one application, and that's in the classroom. We're talking about multiple kinds of applications. The one that I was talking about for us would be as a repository, for an interactive repository of good information on tips on how to teach better, what to do in the classroom, what to do in case of this, and have it compiled or composed by all of us. Let me see. Let's try this one.
Books. Lots of books. Always having books around us to read. But today, we can read books that are Wiki books. Yay for us! So many Wiki applications are available for learning and for teaching all around the world. Let's take a look at some of the opportunities that we have. Wiki uses and applications. Now, a wiki is a collection of web pages that can be updated quickly and on the fly, just like that. Quick. It was called the Quick Web until Ward Cunningham was in Hawaii and was kind of stranded and needed to take the Wiki to the airport, hence called the Wiki. Now in 2006, you were named the Person of the Year by Time Magazine. You. Because tools like Wiki, Web 2.0 tools let you contribute to the web, participate in the web, be part of the web. You are the web. It aligns with constructivistic types of learning, where students own knowledge. There might be more interaction, collaboration, socially shared knowledge, where students create, remix, and reuse content. Their minds are on fire, as John Seeley Brown says in his classic article in Educause Quarterly a couple of years ago. Advantages, as I mentioned, quick. Everything's quick. Easy access, quickly upload, open up a page, type in your password and so forth, and up it goes. You can also revert back changes if you don't like them. The challenges are that people might be on the other end of the digital divide and might have to use proxy servers to access the wiki or the wiki book. There might be a small learning curve, especially if you're not familiar with wikis or had never used one before. If you have this issue of training, you might go to Wikis in Plain English on YouTube and listen to Leela Fever, like millions of others around the world have, and find out about wikis. So that's a little about why. How to use wikis we'll come to in a second. What about types of wikis? There are hosted services like PBWiki, now called PBWorks, like Peanut Butter, easiest Peanut Butter, Wiki Spaces, hosted. So you don't have to worry about anything. Then there are server-based. Now some of the hosted services are free up to a point. Some cost money. This is the interface for PBWorks, and here's the interface for Wiki Spaces. Hundreds of thousands of educators in higher ed, K-12, nonprofit, business settings are using Wiki Spaces for teaching and learning. Students might use a wiki to create a glossary in a class. Students might use a wiki to create an essay as a group. Students might use a wiki to revise Wikipedia pages, right? They also might be sharing their learning with others, sharing with their team, collaborating, setting deadlines as a team. They might also publish their findings through a wiki, submit their findings to the instructor. Instructors, on the other hand, might use a wiki by having their syllabus on the web, their lesson plans on the web, sharing contact information and frequently asked questions and so forth and so on, right? So consider those wiki uses. Consider the problem-based learning possibilities of a wiki. That's why they're so popular today, I think, is that they engage learners. They let them interact and participate in their own learning process. In effect, transforming the learning. Cross-institutional projects, international projects are becoming common today online. Coordinating schedules. My colleagues Grace Lynn in Hawaii, Mimi Lee in Houston, and I, we did cross-institutional wiki books and found it was not easy. My student Nari Kim and Oshkosh and all of us worked together very hard. This is not an easy thing to do. We had video conferences between universities in Houston and University of Indianapolis and Bloomington, Indiana, for students to see each other before and after creating their wiki book. Think about document authority. Who's going to approve the content? Is it the individual? More likely it's the community. Who's going to permit new people to come in to read, contribute, write into the wiki? Who's going to select the topics for the wiki? These are all issues. This is an important area to think about. Technology skills might be required, but not too many. And also think about history pages. Will you let your students revert back if they don't like the changes, or will you have to discuss them? Quality becomes a concern if it's crowdsourced content. You might not want your students using Wikipedia, but you might let them use the Encyclopedia of Life or American Encyclopedia Britannica or some other website that's peer-reviewed. Wikibooks is typically not a peer-reviewed website, right? So think about those issues and control issues and so forth. Now, Jimmy Wales created Wikipedia along with others, along the Wikimedia Foundation. I visited there a couple of years ago. There are very few employees there, but yet they got thousands of books at the Wikibook website we did some on the Web 2.0 and learning theories. There's some on Ukrainian dancing and history and culture of Europe and American culture. There's Wikibooks on many topics available today. It's not only Wikibooks, but Wiki News, Wiki Source, Wiki Species. If you want to get a quote from Shakespeare, go to Wiki Quotes. If you want Darwin's original writings or Einstein or Newton, go to Wiki Source. As I said, my students critiqued Wikibooks on the web for a while. We critiqued University of Georgia students, Michael Ory's Wiki on Wikibook on learning theories. Then Houston students and Indianapolis and Bloomington students wrote a Wikibook. Then we edited Wikibooks. My friend Ron Ostin at York had his students edit the web page, the wiki page, and the lesson plan, and the syllabus. They edited his syllabus. My friends in Israel at the Open U had students create a glossary online. Here's Michael Ory's website on learning theories. Ron Ostin's website for his syllabus. So start small and expand use over time. Think about the ground rules for the wiki. Think about how students will use and access that wiki website. What is the norm? What are the norms for that wiki activity? Do they know the rules that you're going to use? Do they know how you're going to assess them and critique them? Ask students what they're familiar with. Ask other instructors what they're using. See what's going on in your campus or in your department so you can start with what students already know. And if they have never used one, create a scaffold or a job aid that you might post to the web or put in their handouts or put in their learning management system, course management system, so they have that job aid to walk them through, or tutorial. If you can meet them face-to-face, take them to a computer lab to try things out. And when done, conduct assessment, formative and summative. And archive what's really good, what happened that's working, so students can see what's available and effective. Maybe research what you've done and share your results with others. Some people hold competitions for best Wikibook projects and then give awards out at the end. I've done that myself. Some have cross-institutional collaborations and provide training for people in other countries who might not have the English skills or the wiki backgrounds and so forth. Maybe have a video conference in and among members of international teams so they might see each other and create shared knowledge in those video conferences or web conferences. Motivate with celebrations of success, exemplary work, feedback, and other things. But as I said, be clear on the assessment, be clear on how you're going to grade, maybe have some reflection on their wiki work and grade the reflection as opposed to the Wikibook projects themselves. There are many things that you need to think about in terms of wiki-based activities. It's an exciting area to get into. I've been doing wiki-based collaborations for 3 or 4 or 5 years now. And it gets easier over time because I've created the scaffolds, the prior examples. I can bring students back in to share what worked, what didn't work. We can have exemplary resources available. Success stories and testimonials go a long ways. Just having some comfort in using wikis. But again, it could be a wiki book, it could be a lesson plan, it could be a team project, it could be a glossary, it could be debate notes that you put up in a wiki. After a while, what the students will say is, put it in the wiki. Put it in the wiki. That'd be a great place for that assignment. You know, the light bulbs will go off in their heads at some point, and they'll all say, hey, let's just put it in the wiki and use it there.
This was all, or mostly, about using it in the classroom, but there were a lot of points that were made that affect non-classroom activities as well. And I think we're interested in both. Here's what I'd like to do now. How many of you sent me an email with a link to a website? Okay, I'm hoping I have them here, and what I'd like to do, we'll try either way. I can get us there and you can discuss it. We'll talk about what the wiki's about, what it's aimed at, and we can page through it, or you can come up here if it works better. So let me... Okay, Chris, is that you?
Yes.
Okay, let's see if I can just make this work. We're there. Okay, could you tell us a little bit about the wiki and what it's for?
Sure. This is my first year here at UALR, and I just came here from the University of California, Santa Barbara, and this was the wiki that we had for our department. EDKB stands for English Department Knowledge Base, and it was basically a place where we collected teaching and professionalization tools, mostly aimed toward graduate students and people who were teaching assistants. But I found it to be very useful because I didn't work on it individually, but I did provide materials on it, so I don't know how it was built per se, but what was really great about it is that there's some granularity in terms of security, so students can access it, but teaching assistants can access it with a higher level of security, so they can be the ones who actually download the quizzes, and then you can use somebody else's quizzes and stuff like that. And since you were talking about using a similar platform for the Teaching Academy, I thought that this is an immediate thing that I thought this is very similar, and it was just a really great way to kind of organize materials for a large group of people.
Tell me a page to go to or navigate someplace.
Let's
Just
see.
a random page.
Random page,
Okay.
that's what you'll get.
The machine stops.
Okay, so yeah, these are discussion classes for English 192. So discussion questions for a story by Forster. So basically what you have on here are a number of teaching plans, lesson plans, quizzes, discussion topics, grading rubrics, the kinds of things that are really helpful to see a model for when you're teaching a class for the first time as a teaching assistant.
And typically, for these, there's a nice way of navigating around and getting back to where you ought to be. Let's try courses. So this is an overview of the English department, and this talks about the different courses that are available and subcategories of programs and that sort of thing. Now the format for this, if anybody has a question now would be a good time. If not, we can come back to it later on applications and how you did that. Gloria.
Okay, I know virtually nothing about Wiki, so I'm still trying to figure out what is it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I felt like, well, I'm taking too long on the front end, and I apologize. Maybe we're just going to start over. Is there anybody here would like to give a minute or two on your take of a wiki? I have another video.
If you like, if you log in, it'd be easier to show you. But simply speaking, a wiki is a dynamic website, and you can log in, and then you can edit it in the edit mode. And then what it does is it versions all previous edits, so that you can go back into the history and see all the past edits. And then you can have it linked to yours. You can link to a past edit. So for example, if you're doing it in the class and somebody comes and changes the front page, you can still direct your class to a previous page. So the pages that you are using are never changing. So that if you write something and then a student puts the wrong answer, but then the student goes to the front page and puts the wrong answer on the front page and says, well, that's what I read. Okay, so it's a tool, it's a dynamic website.
So when we were back at
Chris,
at her website, Wiki, it looked very professionally put together. Is that a difficult thing for anyone?
I think that they used I think they used Wiki Spaces, one of the programs that was mentioned, one of the things that was mentioned in one of the videos. But another thing that I've seen a lot is PB Wikis, where it has basically a content management system already there for you, and you kind of point and click. But I know that there was a lot of graduate student labor that went into kind of making the tags and making sure that everything was formatted nicely. And then we as English department members would go and create an account, log in, and I would say, you know, I'm willing to share my quiz on Shakespeare's The Tempest. And I would just, you know, copy it and paste it right in there, and it would show up, and then other people could edit it and, you know, add suggestions, and we can see that history. We could see, you know,
So it's
who
sort of
came in
like
and
Google
changed it.
Docs in a way.
It's kind of,
It is.
I mean, it's a collaborative tool in the same way. But someone else did all the kind of making the structure, the
But
scaffolding there.
I need to interject right there, because the way you leave it, it sounds like there's a black box and there's a lot of work done by gnomes in the basement. I did one, I'll show it to you. I know nothing. What you see is what you get, is the catchphrase.
Yeah.
WYSIWYG, you just type it in. The structure, they've done all the programming for these things. There are probably, who? Well, these different operations, we'll have one in Blackboard that should be really easy. But Wiki Spaces is where I did mine. You just sign in, and as soon as you're ready to put some English there, it wouldn't hurt to have outlined it before you start.
Right.
So I did. I wrote a couple of notes on what I wanted first and what I wanted next, and it just led me right to it, and I'll show you. It is, the big thing is, it's a website that anybody can use, and it's easy to use.
If you want to make a page, all you do is put like a bracket, the word bracket, okay, and then that'll automatically generate a page with that. If you put double brackets, if my memory is correct, because I've been using a different one lately, that will make a link to an external page. So if you see something you like, just log in and look at the syntax they use. So in a sense, you don't have to know HTML. So the whole idea here is how can I make a page with links and stuff like that, and without knowing HTML. And then what you can do is you can click review. You can then see what it is that you generated. If you like it, you click save. If you don't like it, you can go back and. But if you go back and you don't click save, you'll lose it.
And I would agree that the hard part is really kind of coming up with that scaffolding, coming up with what kind of categories you want to have, and making sure that they're consistent across each of the new pages that you have.
And that's no change from anything else you do, whether it was written in paper or giving a presentation. That part is still yours, the organization and all that. They've made this other part so easy, you're just not going to believe it. We're making it, by discussing it, we're making it sound more difficult than it was. I created a couple of them just because it was so easy. And I know nothing.
So it sounds like step one is outline whatever you want to do.
Right.
Step two is put something in it. Step three is change the outline because you changed your mind. And then go
And
from there.
then, now here's the deal with wikis. Wikis are for collaboration. And they work if you get collaborators. And so what you have to do is get people, some other people, to come in, so you seed it with some kind of categories, with some kind of hierarchy, some kind of organization. And then you'd say, would you come and take a look at this and add something? I know you know something about this problem. So coming up with those categories so that they're enticing, so you can
So
elicit.
you would send them a link to.
Send them a link, that's right. Send them an email with a link and say, go here and add to this thing. Has anybody here done Wikipedia? I've added some things to
I've done a
Wikipedia.
little bit, but I've been involved with the ChemPrime project of the National Science Digital Library. And what we did is we wikitized a 1975 textbook on general chemistry. And then we, and I can show you that if you like.
I'm not sure I have it here, so if you'd have to give me the
Sure, this
URL.
CHEM.
www.http.
No, just Google CHEM. Or Bing it. No, Bing it or Google it. You have a Bing search.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, just go CHEM, capital PRIME. And this is multiple exemplars. I forgot exactly what the acronym stands for. So then the ChemPrime.
Okay, this right here?
.org, yes. It might be easier if I navigated it, because these can be.
Please do.
So what this is a textbook that, these are the chapters of the textbook. We wikitized the textbook. I used this last year in my chemistry and society class. We could go to student assignments. This has also been used at Kurztown University. And this is the 1409 assignment. If I log in, and if I can remember, okay, once you log in, if I got the right password, I haven't been here for about 8 months, okay? Now I've got all these options, okay, so I can click on to history and stuff, and if I click on to history, I can see the different pages. If I go into edit mode, I can now see this page, and so for example, this here creates this table of contents sidebar that you saw on the side. This here with the double brackets creates a web page. So if I go bracket, Bob, bracket, and click save, there's a new web page created called Bob, okay? So in essence, the easiest thing to do is to find a page with stuff that you like, go look at the edit mode, copy it into yours, and then change it, okay? Now if the page exists, it'll come back. So let me put in a page. I've got the wrong glasses here. And if I go down here to show preview, this page will be red. Okay? Okay, I didn't put I should have put a thing in, I should have put a space there because it's here. And what red means is this is a page that has no content. This is a page that has content. Okay? So it's as simple as that to create a page. Now the idea, this project, which I thought was a very good project, and let me just go back. I don't want to save this, obviously. I'll go back again. Okay, so what my students did is they got together in groups, and I had them pick choose the names of their groups. And so, for example, this is a student, and in the ChemPrime book, this student created a thing on nuclear waste disposal, okay? And then what he did is he came in and he put on links from YouTube videos and stuff, and he put in images and stuff like that. And of course, the biggest challenges are allowing people to understand what are copyright issues and stuff like that. In fact, some of the best presentations on wikis are not what Wiki is, but what Wiki is not. Okay? And in understanding the Wikipedia, Wikipedia is not a place for you to put original research. Everything in Wikipedia should be cited. Wikipedia is not a place for opinion. Everything in Wikipedia should be cited. And this is where I disagree with people who say that Wikipedia is not a valid source of information, because everything in Wikipedia is supposed to be cited, and that's what we want students to do, is to be able to look at the information and judge the veracity, not just say, oh my God, it's peer-reviewed, it must be correct. Because anybody who's dealt with peer review understands there's cronyism, there's all sorts of issues. Peer review isn't what it's made out to be. So you can embed into these videos all sorts of stuff. This is one of the projects that we're working with. But the history aspect, allows you to go in. Now, another thing that I learned after this year was a thing called user space. So you see how up here where it says user.rdmorse? By having my students work in user space, it wasn't searchable from external search engines. Another huge issue that we ran into was the plagiarism issue. In fact, I made my students go to Indiana University Bloomington and take their plagiarism exam before they were allowed to contribute anything to this. Now, the other aspect of this site, and I'll be quiet here in a second, is if we go back to the original, this is a textbook. And this is one way that you might be able to do it. So what John Moore did is this textbook was copyrighted, I think, in 1975, and he got the copyright back. And so he put his textbook in here. And the idea here, okay, I picked a very poor track, nothing has been done here. Let me think for a second if I can remember some of the ones that my students did. Okay, SI prefixes, or scientific international prefixes. I'm sure they will, everything. This is strange. If I go to, well, anyways, while I'm talking, Core Chem, so chemistry, general chemistry is a course that's taught, is a, what would you call it, a service class. We teach to geology students, astronomy students, biology students. So this is the general chemistry textbook. And what I did is then I had my students develop exemplars in environmental and green chemistry and sustainability. And so what they would do is they would go and choose a track. So for example, here is a track on density and environmental green chemistry and sustainability. The students would then go in, and these were not chemistry majors, so it was a real challenge. And so here is an exemplar on sorting recyclable plastics by density. And so in this exemplar, what the idea was to teach the concepts of the chemistry textbook, but using the exemplar of this concept. So if there were biology students, the biology students could go in here and read a general chemistry book where all the examples were oriented towards biology students. If you're physics students, you could do that in physics students. And of course, we could have the students be generating these exemplars too. Recognize you're looking at many things here at once. Okay? But that's the power of a wiki. And so one of the things that we're involved with right now is trying to use this as a crowdsourcing tool to create a textbook on green chemistry and sustainability. And so we have people from all over the country contributing to this green chemistry and sustainability track. And then at the end of it, we're going to try and pull it together and create an online textbook for chemistry using exemplars on this topic. So this gives you some of the fields. My other project is completely out in left field, and that's a wiki hyperglossary. And that uses, I could give you a talk on that, but I don't think there's time. But this, I think, gives you the general idea, and the ease of it is you log in, if you see a page that you like, so for example, if I wanted a picture, so if I went back, I think there was a picture in that, and I want to know how do I put this picture in here, and how do I make this link in here. All I have to do is go to the edit mode and find out where the code is for that. Okay, so you can go to any web page, not any, but if you see something you like, you can figure out what they did and hack into it. The other thing I will make as a comment, I became aware of this about 2 years ago, and became involved with this project. I had a broken arm, my dominant arm was broken, and I was in Boston the day classes started here. And one of my friends, I worked with John Moore, and we were talking, he said, well, why don't you do this? And I said, okay. So I came back here. I sent my grad student an email telling him to put this on the syllabus and to do a survey, and I quickly whipped up a survey for the first day of classes. And my class was able to generate these things on their own, and I didn't know I was going to use it in the class until the first day of the semester. Okay? And if you like, there's one thing that my students did the first semester that I think, I'm pretty proud of this, okay? Now realize there was some real trial and error in here. I need to go back to student assignments. And this is available, And now, these ones I have hidden. They're hidden because there's a lot of plagiarism going on. And the first semester I did this, I didn't realize the issues I would have with plagiarism. So this is my very first class. And who was it? Okay. These students are non-science majors. So part of the idea here was, so this student did a presentation on black dust. And she first went over what is a battery, what are dry cell batteries. And she could go to pbs.org, and she could come up with a website that described this battery and stuff. And she didn't quite plagiarize, but the idea of using a zinc can was something I never would have thought of. Then she went on and discussed fuel cells, okay? And she could link you to I didn't tell you this, my students were all required to go up in front of the classroom and give a
A
presentation.
PEM fuel cell is made of a catalyst
So
coated membrane
the
between two
kids
plates.
also had to give an oral presentation on their wiki. And
Hydrogen is fed on one side,
by
oxygen
using
on the
these
other.
videos and stuff, they were able to present material professionally and correctly above their own skill set. Their expertise in chemistry is not that of a chemistry major. They're not chemistry majors. Then she went and compared dry cell batteries versus fuel cells. And then she came up with this awesome video, or slideshow, on children of the black dust. Okay?
This work, they start often 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. And it
you get
goes,
the gist.
goes
So
on
they were able to tell a
until
story
the sun sets.
and use the wiki
Every
to
time
use.
someone takes a Wiki and they bang it with a,
And she'd walk you through this slideshow of these people in Bangladesh who are tearing apart batteries. And then, of course, her conclusion is that fuel cells are better than batteries. And all of this they were able to do using a wiki. So this is one example of how a wiki can be used in a classroom. Okay? And the students were able to do this. In fact, I was having them teach me how to do it. Okay? And not a single student had written to a wiki before we started this class. Okay? Did that?
I think that addresses it. The more we talk about it, although the end made it seem simpler, but on a thing like this, the more you talk about it, the more complex it seems. It's hard to say how easy they've made this. They've really made it simplified.
Well,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, and I'll just say, the last two wikis that we've seen, they're all based on Wikipedia codes. So this is Wikimedia or
Wikipedia, yes. Now, I have another one, the Wiki Hyperglossary, which is my real project. And my class uses that this semester. But I don't want to take over the...
Well,
so-
and we may come back to it, but
Yeah,
what's your
so
point
this-
here?
But this is a little bit one of the more difficult ones to actually collaborate and use on. Like, there's I use Google Sites a lot, which is a lot like a word processor where it's insert picture, insert video, this kind of thing. Where so what you see is what you get editor.
I either use Wiki
Spaces?
Spaces or Wiki something or another, and I'll show you in a minute.
Yeah.
And it was insert picture, no,
Right.
brackets, no,
Yeah.
just English.
So,
You want a new page, you click new page.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Click the
The
little-
thing is that we have the ability now to connect to spectra, connect to molecules, so I can type in a molecule. If it's in this database, I can click on a peak of its spectra, and the molecule will start vibrating, and the three-dimensional molecules that we can throw in. So the reason why we use this is because we're able to add stuff to it very easily.
Okay, Sherry Bennett, it's not here. Katie Gordon? That's you?
Yeah.
Which of these, you wanna just come up and do it?
Yeah, just to show just how easy it is.
Now, is yours a non-classroom application?
Mine is a classroom application.
Okay.
I'm going to show the one that is.
Well, she's doing this. Is there anyone that's got a non-classroom application? I'm the only one, okay. You have a non?
So,
Okay,
what do you mean
yours
by,
next.
as far as,
Well, these were students, and there are non-student applications, like our teaching academy will have all of us teachers adding to this thing tips and techniques. You've got them, you'd like to share them, but how do you do it?
I mean, that database is the one that you should from us.
Oh, I'm sorry, yours was
Yeah.
primarily a
It's
non-student, that's right.
yeah, so this is, I just use Google Sites to do this. and it was between a classmate and I. So then we could, both go in there and easily collaborate, from a distance. So, here we go, edit page. And it's very simple that way, and it's similar to what you use for Google Docs. So just to show that this is web-based. Wiki Spaces or Media Wiki, you base it on a server, so you have to actually download the code. This is all web-based, so this is hosted through Google. It's going to be up there for the indeterminate future. So that's easy enough. And then the other one is a Library Success. This is I think another maybe media wiki based one, but this is where we use it in the library world as a best practices wiki. So we have all types of tools and tips and resources in that regard. And you see down here, it's again a wiki space or a media wiki, sorry. So yeah, just to show the differences.
Okay, any questions on this one?
When you did links, like it says tips page at the bottom, is it like WordPress where you just sort of insert the link?
Exactly. So you get a form and you insert the link, and you can do what the text will show or what will display text, and the link is hidden. Yeah. So it's just like the difference between WordPress and Blogger kind of idea in terms of these different platforms.
I would just like to say, in a broader stroke, certainly, for an instructional strategy, the reason you would want to use a wiki, there's several reasons, but what you're primarily doing is that you're giving people space to use higher critical thinking skills, because either somebody is putting together a page based on research that they have done, or they're doing that as a group, and then other people are evaluating that to see if it corresponds to what is known in the field. So, for example, the wikis are a great way for an end of the semester project. For as people are learning something throughout the semester, they've got this. You divide them into groups and have them work on these wikis, and they can evaluate one another based on the information from the field, and you want that upper level critical thinking capacity, and that's the beauty of wikis. It's not just people putting something together and knowing what the links are. You want them to look at data and evaluate that and assess whether it's correct or not, and then change it if it needs to be changed.
Especially if you give them original material that has pre-identified misconceptions.
Right. That's another good thing.
And then you can use that as a way of working on those.
Right.
And
So you could put one up there that had false information and let them correct it.
And you can also use these to generate and identify misconceptions.
Did you say, I forgot your name, no, in the red, did you say you have a link here? It's one of these?
Well, I don't see it up there.
I didn't
But
get it?
that's okay.
Okay.
No, that's okay.
So let me,
I think just from what y'all seen so far, I've used them in our department. Like last year when we were working on our governance document, and we had a subcommittee, okay? And so we uploaded the old governance document, and then as we would be, creating different parts of the governance document, well, I would put, okay, this was in the old governance document, and then we would go in and everybody would make their contributions. I use Wiki Spaces, and you can go into the history and you can see who did what, and you can, if you don't like the edit someone made, you can go back into the history and go back to a previous one. And so it was really helpful for us there, because we didn't have to actually meet like this to work on it. We could be editing at home and all. And in Wiki Spaces, what I've started using, I haven't started using this in my classes yet, because I was worried about confidentiality and all that, so I'm waiting for Blackboard